Hey Leia.
Hello.
So the other day I was coloring in my Spider-Man jumbo book just to do some personal
hmm
relaxation, and one of my crayons broke.
Crayon? What's a crayon?
Yeah, a Crayola crayon. Like a Crayola crayon. One of my crayons broke.
Crayon.
No, it's crayon.
It's crayon.
Leia,
Crayon.
I feel like you're not listening to me. It is called a crayon.
I'm pretty sure it's spelt crayon.
It's a crayon.
Crayon.
I'm Lamont, and my first instinct is to flee when dealing with conflict.
And I'm Leah, and I'm a people pleaser, so I don't have to have conflict.
And
And
you're
you're
tuning
tuning
into
into
the
the
Lamont
Lamont
and
and
Leah
Leah podcast.
podcast. Oh, Leah, we've talked about your people pleasing.
Yes.
How's that going?
um. mm, No comment.
I plead the fifth. All right, Leia. So, today we're going to talk about when people don't agree, and basically the power
hmm
to deal with the impact or how that impacts us.
Yeah.
So, let's define a few things before we
Okay.
get started. How do you define conflict, or what does conflict mean to you?
Well, I guess when people do not agree, like that's the base of it. Like if you don't agree on something that you're trying to have I don't know. It's not always conversations. It can be pretty much anything. Yeah, just not agreeing with someone.
Yeah, the greatest phenomenon that I'm finding is that people view conflict as bad.
Yeah. I
And
think
it's
for the
not a bad thing.
Yeah, I think for the most part people do, but I have taken a few courses on interpersonal communication. So I think before having taken classes that dealt with, any type of conflict, I also identified conflict as negative and let's avoid it, let's not do it. Post learning about it, I understand that it happens and it's necessary in order to, further your own ideas and also teach people stuff and just to grow together. Doesn't mean I like it, but you
Yeah,
know,
I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I do find that it's necessary for
Mhm.
to make change and
Yeah,
to
yeah,
and um what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. I just lost my thought.
it's all
I
right.
hate I hate that. All right. Hopefully it comes back. Um, what does impact mean, and how would you define impact?
Well, I would first think impact meaning how does something impact, like how does it affect you? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about? Yeah.
yeah.
So how does something
So,
affect you? What change or meaning does it have to you as a person?
yeah, the I want to define it as the way a person takes in or
Mm.
digests
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah. That's a good way. Yeah.
yeah. And then we have, so Leia, what is your personal thoughts on Black Lives Matter?
Oh boy. See, here's a great example. I have my own opinions, you have your own opinions, but I just don't want to piss anyone off. So I usually just you know, just
Like to
don't
shut down,
yeah, I just don't tell anyone my opinions because I don't want to piss people off. But if we're being candid here,
which
um
we are.
yeah, I it's like a two-way street for me. On one hand, I don't like how people are using it as an excuse for being mean, because there are, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are using it as an excuse and making it, I mean, I know it is political, it is, but people are taking it way overboard on one aspect. But on the other, like, that's a super important subject, at least in like America, probably everywhere, but like here right now, like it's very important. Yes, Black Lives Matter. Like, I'm not gonna like be dumb and be like, no, all lives matter. Like, all lives include Black lives. Just gonna say that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
like, as as a group, like the actual foundation though of people who run it, I'm just not too keen on them.
Okay.
Like
All
the
right.
idea behind the movement, I'm all for. I agree 100%. The people running it, not too keen on them.
Okay. I don't think I know much about the people running it, to be
Mhm.
honest. I do understand the concept, and the
Mhm.
concept is Black Lives Matter. If you believe, which I and Leia do believe, that all
Yeah.
lives matter, then you should have no issue or
With
problem
yeah.
with Black Lives Matter, because that's included. And I
Yeah.
think the issue is people are just reading it as Black Lives Matter. That's it.
Only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're
And
tacking only onto it. And I'm
yeah.
like, that's not what we said.
So try to think of it as Black Lives Matter as well, or Black
Mhm.
Lives Matter too.
Yeah.
That might help you digest it a little bit better. But this podcast, this subject,
Mhm.
this topic is not really on Black Lives Matter, but it is kind of on Black Lives Matter.
Mhm.
So let's go ahead
I think
and
it's just a really good example of what our topic is today.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna walk us through like dealing with conflict and managing conflict.
Mhm.
So let's get started.
Thought we already started.
Well, I guess like we're transitioning into the main, okay, transitioning to the main topic.
Cue transition.
Leia, do you remember when Ashley and James from the Spiritual Rebels and Misfits podcast came on?
Yes. I really enjoyed that one.
Do you remember when they were telling you that I was their first guest,
Mhm.
and their topic was when they don't agree?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're going to have our own. Today, that is our subject, dealing with people when we don't agree. We're going to focus on the approach and the impact on the approach. And to kick us off, I'm going to read a letter. So this is called A Letter to the Masses, and I wrote this on June 2nd, 2020,
Mhm.
which is almost a
Um,
year from now.
Yep. Almost a year.
So, to people everywhere in this time, this is the message I bring you. It is of great earnest, and I hope you will seek to understand. I guess I should start at the beginning. Earlier this week, I made a post on Unity, Love, and Light. Then I shared it with multiple groups that I'm a part of, with the intention to cultivate connection and unity in these hard times. The post reads as follows. We continue to live in some difficult times. Sorry. We continue to live in some difficult and hard times. Let's be the kind of people that unite and come together. Let us be the people that push out fear and ignorance and replace it with respect and celebration. Let us be kind to one another, recognizing that we are all human, our lives matter, and no one should die unnecessarily. And if the powers that be will not bring forth justice for innocent lives that have been taken, then we as humans must stand together, unite, not hurt, until the wrong is righted and we all feel safe. Where does this practice begin? It begins in your heart, it begins in your mind, and your daily actions at home. So let it begin in you. Blessed be. And then afterwards, a picture follows saying, in this house, we believe Black Lives Matter, love is love, science is real, I can never say that word, wait, say that word for me.
Feminine?
Yes,
Femininity?
feminism is for
Femininity.
everyone.
Okay.
No human is illegal, and kindness is everything.
Mhm.
Sometime later, a member of a particular group commented on a post. She says, if love is love, be then surely all lives matter, just 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 black ones? Emoji heart heart. And I replied, this is not Nikki from last week, guys. So or the week 2 weeks ago. Like this is a different Nikki, I don't know, but this is what I commented in the comments, okay? I replied, Nikki, all lives matter. But right now we're focusing on black lives because the underlining racism that still plagues our nation. She replies, Lamont and Damon, I get that, but racism goes both ways, and it's not just black people being killed. Statements like Black Lives Matter just add to the divide. We all need to unite and show all races love, compassion, and I like to change it to All Lives Matter. Emoji, heart, heart. So I then replied, Nikki, I understand and feel the same way you do. However, let me offer you another perspective. You said statements like Black Lives Matter just add to the divide. What if you and others fully embrace Black Lives Matter, which would unite you to the cause, instead of seeing it as a divide, see yourself as included? That is another way to unite with one another. Think about it. To her then reply of Lamont Damon, I do not need telling Black Lives Matter as all lives matter to me. I love all life forms. I will never agree with the concept as it makes a distinction on skin color, which racism is based on in the first place. Emoji, heart, heart. My final reply read, it was just another perspective to address your concern about feeling divided and not included. Really, what divides us is the language in which we interpret our understanding and derive our meaning. Please always follow your truth. Her final reply read, Lamont Damon, emoji, heart, heart. So then I go on in the letter to say, I was deeply saddened for her and people like her who just don't get it. It is us, people who divide us, who see differences, who let words and labels define us and divide us. Don't get me wrong. Labels, words, definitions are essential to understanding one another and having a common language to work things and concepts out. But mankind continues to struggle with the same issue we have for a long time. We limit ourselves, our understanding. We don't often allow for words, definition, labels, or concepts to be inclusive ones. We often have to see the need to see the difference between us and them. Why? I wish Nikki and I had more time to talk and share our thoughts with one another, but I ran out of time. I would have liked to say, the saying Black Lives Matter. The saying is, Black Lives Matter. However, I never heard or seen it said that only Black Lives Matter. I think we can all agree, and it appears that we do agree, that all lives matter. However, we need your help with hashtag Black Lives Matter. Because right now, in this time and age, it would appear that black lives are the ones who are in danger. And this makes it an all problem, which includes you. So won't you stand with us and say, enough is enough? I stand with my brothers and sisters, no matter the color of their skin. Innocent lives should not be taken, not in this land of the free. This choosing to stand with Black Lives Matter can be an inclusive concept. However, based on the previous comments I received from her, it would appear that she would not have been open to this perspective. So it might have been a waste of time. Still, a part of me would have liked to try. What about you, the reader? How open are you to this concept? In closing, I urge each and every person that has the opportunity to read this to question, is there a divide between him and I, her and me, them and us? I think Kiara said it best from Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, when she said, a wise king once told me, we are one. I didn't understand him then, but I do now. Simba then says, but us? Them? Kiara then says, them? Us? Look at them. They are us. What differences do you see? Question. What stops us from being included with them? Is it our culture? Is it our language? Is it our differences? Or is it the way in which we think? If it is the way in which we think, don't you think you should consider changing the way you think to be a more inclusive mindset? Think about it, will you? Yours truly, Lamont Damon. So, Leah, what are your thoughts on this whole exchange?
Well, that was very long. No.
It is quite long.
I've had that conversation before, like with people I know, and it's so frustrating because it's like we're arguing the same thing, which is that is like if you take conflict management and resolution courses, that is a thing, and that is an issue a lot of people have, is arguing the same point. So it's like an unnecessary conversation, but like it happens, and it makes me really sad, like when we can't agree on the same thing because of like a word or 2 words or 3 words in this case, like but like, yeah, I get what you mean. Like, if we're just talking about the subject of like labeling and you versus me, us versus them, it's not, I don't know. To me, it's never really made sense.
Yeah. I think we had the privilege of growing up in a multicultural like church and families,
Mm-hmm.
and so it really like we have a harder time with it. And I love that we got to grow up like that. I really do. Um, and and I think the bigger picture is like the bigger issue is dealing with the conflict. We had a conversation, and even though we did not agree at the end of that conversation, we had a conversation. How do I know I should walk away from this conversation like thinking about what I said?
Mm-hmm.
If I would have been like, hey, bitch,
Yeah.
excuse me, like, bitch, like, you're out of line, like, how do you not mean Black Lives Matter? Like, just like, been like, I don't think she would have been open to having a
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
Um, so, dealing with or managing conflict, what are the best ways to deal with it? What are some of the better strategies?
Um, Definitely like being not non-confrontational. Is that the correct term?
Yeah, yeah.
Like not being rude about it. Definitely like trying to keep calm and trying to like watch your words to make sure that it's not going to contain anything that they might find rude, because it's different for each person, the way you're speaking and the vocabulary that you use. Like you and me were friends. If we're having a conflict, I might use different like slangs and stuff that if I was to have a conflict in a professional setting, that wouldn't fly and they might get more upset.
Right, right.
Whereas if you're talking to your friend and you start using like big words, they might just be like, what, do you think I'm stupid?
So now you're in a bigger conflict.
Yeah.
So not only are we fighting about this subject, now you think I'm stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, so watching your language and watching your tone of voice, which I think is something that we covered in our episode with our friend Nikki.
Yes.
Tone of voice, yeah.
Yeah, and this is going to be a future episode.
Yeah.
Because that needs to be even more unpacked.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I call this mindfulness, or I call this being intentional.
Yeah, that's a good phrase for it.
What is the purpose behind this conversation?
Mm.
Am I trying to have a conversation with them, or am I trying to win this conversation?
Am I trying to fight? Yeah, like.
Am I trying to fight? If I'm going to fight, then I'm going to select these words.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have a conversation and hopefully have them hear me, I'm going to select these words.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Mindfulness, being intentional. Any other like insights onto like how better like dealing with management or conflict?
I think this is on the other side of it. Like if you are listening to someone, allowing them to say their piece fully. Like I think one of the bigger issues I have had early on in the relationship with Patrick is he would cut me off when we were having conflicts, and not fights, just like we're disagreeing on something, and he'd stop me. I'm like, you need to let me finish first. Like it might take me a little bit to say stuff because I don't feel comfortable saying stuff in a conflict, but like let me finish, and then you can, you know, then you can say your piece. Because a lot of the times he would end up saying the exact same thing I was about to say. I was like, you have to let me finish though. Like we're agreeing.
Right.
Let me finish my sentence or my paragraph.
Right. I think so. I am probably one of the like if to know me is to love me, right? And I am one of the biggest offender of cutting people off. And it's not because I want to be like rude or mean. I get excited and like even though I'm listening to you, like I'm processing so much and then I get excited and it comes out I'm like wait. And so I've learned to stop myself, slow my mind down, say focus in the moment, hear what they have to say and then try to respond later. And I'm actually better at this when I'm doing therapy. Thank God.
Well, I mean, I
Thank
hope
God,
so.
like,
Yeah.
like it works overtime, right? 'Cause, like, you need to be present in the moment. Versus when I'm more in a relaxed setting with friends
Yeah.
or whatever. But it takes me a while sometimes.
Yeah.
And like I'm pretty sure you guys saw on the show, like I've interrupted people. So
I think
I'm
that goes along with mindfulness, no, though.
like,
Yeah, like in a professional setting, you know that you need to be a lot more like listening and then responding. Whereas with friends, if you cut people off every once in a while, it's just like, okay, whatever. Like,
I have friends who absolutely hate being cut off and they ruminate like you cut me off. And I'm like,
oh,
well, dude, like you cut me off too, but I'm not upset about it. Like,
I just get
but
passive.
like, I'm like, let live and let live. Like it happens. Like, and I'm not gonna like get all upset about it.
Yeah.
I might like and like if I feel like I do need to finish, I know how to stand up for myself and be like, hey, you cut me off. Can I please finish?
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
because I know like they don't mean to like do it sometimes. It's just like I said something that triggered something and they're like I'm ready to respond because I heard that and this is what I'm thinking about that.
Hmm.
It's not a mean or rude thing, but that's just how my mind works. Where other people are like, no, you cut me off. How dare you now die? like oh my god. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So I said this in the last like 2 weeks ago episode and I'm gonna say
Hmm.
it again. Curiosity.
Hmm.
Keeping us Curiosity keeps us out of judgment. You can't be curious and judgmental at the same time. You can't be asking yourself questions and be like, ugh, like dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't work. So be like, why is this person speaking this way?
Hmm.
What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? So I guess it goes back to being mindful too.
Hmm.
So curiosity keeps us in a mindful mind state, set of mind state, set of
Mind state. I like that.
curiosity keeps us in
Mindful
a
state of
mindful
mind.
place, a mindful
Okay.
place to allow for us to like examine what we're experiencing.
Hmm.
Um, so I encourage you guys to develop more of a questioning or a curious mindset.
Yeah. And going off of that, like, uh, kind of during a conflict or even after or before, like, being curious about your own feelings about the subject. Like, why is this upsetting me? Like, why am I so triggered by this? Why is this making me upset? Like, and not just going, well, because I don't like it. It's like, okay, but why? Like, always asking that, like, why question. Because, you can solve stuff on the surface, but if you're not getting to the root of something, it's not going to fix the conflict. it may like postpone it. I feel like a lot of people have issues with that in their relationships. I'm talking about like love relationships, not like friendships. Well, maybe in friendships, but you see it more in like love relationships. People like fix something on the surface, and like 10 years later down the line, it comes back up. And you're like, well, I thought we fixed this. And like, you didn't. And it's just been like festering.
Yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst.
Yeah.
All right. I statements. Focusing on yourself, what you are feeling and experiencing, and refrain from accusing others and sharing your feelings with them. So let's do a couple of I statements, Leah. Let's say,
Here's an example of an I statement for you, Lamont. I feel annoyed because you say crayon when the pronunciation is crayon. What I need is for you to learn how to read.
wow, felt like I was read, like hardcore, man. So, yeah. So
We could come up with a better
we can. That was hilarious, and I love that though. I'm trying to really think, like when we're heated and like and we're frustrated and we're in the moment and we're having dialogue and we're going back and forth and stuff, and like I'm taking a minute just to like listen to the person, and then I like take a minute to respond. I'm like, I feel, I could be anything. It could be
Well, I
anger,
mean,
hurt.
for this whole thing, we've been using the example of the Black Lives Matter
Hmm.
quote unquote argument. So, I mean, you can continue to use it as an example. So let's talk back to Nikki, not our friend Nikki, the Nikki from your letter. It's just like I feel um discouraged when you say that Black Lives Matter is not a valid argument, because I agree with you, Nikki, that all lives do matter. And
That's great. That would have been a great response.
yeah, so like I feel like that might work. I don't know how she would take it because I don't know her, but
Yeah, it might
that's
have
not,
broken down a wall.
yeah, so that's not really me going, Nikki, I don't like the way you talk because when you said that, like, it made me upset because you disagree with me. But explaining to her that her statements are making me feel discouraged about how things are moving regarding, like, racism or whatever.
Yeah, that's a great example, Leia. That's a great example. Maybe when it broke down the wall, maybe that like little bit would have been enough to get her to like really think about what she was thinking and saying.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure she didn't mean to discourage me.
Yeah, and like finding out why she feels the way she feels. So I do like I statements. They are a little hard to formulate sometimes, especially if you're someone who does not like to deal with conflict. Because it is a little hard to explain why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Even if you have it in your head, you know exactly why. Sometimes it's just really hard to say out loud.
Yeah. With I statements, I encourage you guys to practice.
Hmm.
Practice, practice, practice. They're not easy. It is a new way of thinking, but it will increase your communications tenfold.
Hmm. Yeah. I I learned that is one of the things that I had learned in my conflict resolution class. And I try to utilize it sometimes, and how I practice is I use it for like small stuff. Like, hey, I don't like when you I guess from throwing Patrick under the bus anyway. I don't like the way that you fold these pants because I think it looks messy. Here is a better alternative. It's
How about you invite him, which is another technique. What do you think of this alternative?
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right.
that is one that I don't
So
utilize.
that way you're not saying yours is better. So that just throws you guys into more conflict. What do you mean yours is better than mine?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah, so.
like, what
But
do you think of this? Do you like this? Can you see yourself using this method? Because if you can't, you're gonna like not be sleeping in our bed. No, I'm just joking. But no, like, in all seriousness, like, can you see yourself using this? Like, do you like this? Like, actually, I have a real life situation where this happened, right? So, I'm not gonna use her name, but I was gonna use her name, and then I was like, stop using people's names. You're getting sued. I was gonna get sued. I was working with this one lady, and me and this one lady had a lot of conflict, unfortunately. However, we were at a family's house, working with the family, and we were helping them fold laundry, like getting paid to help them fold laundry, and like running a meeting, like it's called a FTM, family team meeting. So, she like, I just would fold shirts, like, I guess inward, and she folded them outward, where you can see, like, sorry guys, I hit the mic, where you can see like the print or the logo, and I like that a lot better. And so on this one day, I was like, person, would you teach me how to fold the clothes that way? Because I didn't grow up learning how to fold that way.
yeah.
Actually, I think she was complaining that I was folding them differently.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, like, I actually like the way you're folding them. Would you teach me? You know? And so we avoided a conflict that day.
Yeah.
Oh no, I just snorted.
Yeah.
But yeah. Here's a really good way to increase your listening, like to be patient and to increase your listening, and then to either use like an I statement or to open up with another question. And this is restate what you're hearing, what you hear. So if Leia's told me something, Leia, tell me something.
You say crayon wrong.
Leia, something else. No, we can do that. We can do that. One more time.
Lamont, you say crayon wrong.
Okay, so Leia, what I hear you saying is that you don't like the way I pronounce crayon, and you think I should pronounce it differently.
Yes.
Okay. I feel the way that I pronounce crayon is completely alright. And I would like it not to bother you.
It's such a silly example.
A little bit.
Like,
but
I'm a nice person though, so I'd be like, all right, Lamont, that's fine. I understand. We grew up speaking differently. Like, not a big deal. But I'm pretty sure there'd be someone who'd be like, no, you have to say it's crayon.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But yes, reinstating is a good way to clarify, because in the off chance that, you know, we're actually having a serious conversation about this, I could have said something like, well, yes, I would like you to pronounce it like crayon, but maybe you can explain to me, or sorry, and no, this one's but.
Okay.
But could you take the time to explain to me like how you came up with that pronunciation?
Okay.
Like, where did you learn it? Like, you know, like, there's a lot of different things that go into everything that we say and do and talk about. Like, you remember our teacher from Vex?
Which one?
The principal.
Okay.
Not name dropping. She.
I loved her, by the way. I know a lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
But I loved her.
She actually pronounced, since we're talking about this, she pronounced crayon as crayon, like CRAN, but more with like a almost crown. So she would almost say crown like every time. And you know, as a kid, I didn't really say it. I always thought, like, why did she say it like that? And I think someone straight up asked her one day. They're just like, teacher, why do you say it that way? Why do you say Mira? Like, can you please tell us? And she goes, well, I'm from Indiana. Well, I grew up speaking with a southern accent like this. And that's how we pronounce crown, all, and Mira.
Was that after I graduated?
Yeah. This was when I was in her class. So you were in high school already. Yeah. So, and then she goes, over time, I don't speak like that anymore, but there are words that I still pronounce, like Mira, crown, and all.
Okay.
And as a kids, we're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a really good explanation of like reinstating, because then someone can educate you on something. Alrighty, Lamont. Our conflict over how to say crayon reminded me of something really funny I saw on TikTok.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. So, if you go to your chat, and for our people watching, I will put what is in the chat on the screen so you won't be left out. But if you open your chat, you will see a list of words.
Oh.
Okay, don't say them yet. Don't say them yet. Yes, so there is a list of words there. And I want you to read them. And I'll also read them after you. So you'll say the word, then I'll say the word. And we'll go back and forth. And don't over-enunciate them. Just say them, you know? Okay. Don't think about it. Just read it. Not a big deal. Okay? And then we'll watch the TikTok and you'll see.
Okay.
All right. So when you're ready.
Restaurant.
Restaurant.
Profitable.
Profitable.
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica.
Costa. Oh, sorry. Not Costa. Costco.
Costa. Costco.
Community.
Community.
Marketing.
Marketing.
Software.
Software.
Actually.
Actually.
Writing.
Writing. Okay? Now let's watch my TikTok.
All right.
There's this trend going around that Californians don't pronounce the letter T in their words. So if you're from California, duet this. I'm going to put some words on the screen. I want to hear how you pronounce them.
Say the words with him.
Santa Ana.
Santa Ana. Monterey.
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 Huntington.
Huntington.
Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara.
Yo, I don't think we pronounce our T's, bro.
So I think I pronounce my T's sometimes.
If you look back at the words that we just said, like not even just the ones with him, but the ones I gave you, I think you pronounced one T in the whole thing.
Profitable?
Nope. Santa Monica.
Santa Monica?
Everything else. Actually, and then you said writing. You said writing. Yeah.
Yeah, writing.
But
writing, restaurant.
Restaurant. Like you say the last T, but you say restaurant.
Yeah.
Community.
Community, yeah.
Community. I was laughing so hard when I saw that TikTok. Like, I was like, oh, you're right. I don't know how to say the letter T.
Software.
And then I asked Patrick how to I asked Patrick to pronounce some of these, and he's like, Santa Monica. And I'm like, what? He goes, Costco. I was like, what? No, it's Costco.
Yeah, Costco.
Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because I thought it was so funny, and the crayon crown thing kind of like reminded me of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
We get free samples at Costco.
Like, who actually says Costco though? I don't know. Shout out to, I believe his TikTok username is TK California for this hilarious video. Yeah, let us know in the comments, fellow Californians, if you pronounce the T.
So, Leah, that's pretty much the conversation for today. What did you think about today's topic? I
think it's good to think about. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot more that we could talk about if we really wanted to. We could probably make a whole entire episode on each one of the examples that we gave. Like, I really actually enjoyed conflict resolution when I did those classes. I think they were really fun. And the overarching theme with them is like definitely getting in touch with your feelings on something. Yes. And understanding how you're feeling about something can definitely help with conflict in the future. The other aspect is just learning how to communicate verbally with people, which is something I deal with. So even though in my head I understand what I'm feeling, I know what I want to say, it's getting it out there that I struggle with. So yeah.
I'll have to think about that and see if there's an episode that we can help you like deliver a little more. I feel like Sorry Syndrome helped you a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And something I think people kind of like gloss over is the like good side of like texting. Because like there's a lot of times where I'm super uncomfortable talking and I just can't. I don't know why, but I have a really hard time. And it's something I really need to say. And so sometimes even if the person I am having an issue with is in the same room with me, sometimes just texting it to them helps. Because like if it's very important and I need to say it, I send it to them. And then the conversation like can continue in person. Right. It's just getting over that one little... And I think a lot of people like to bash on social media and texting because they're like, well, you're not really communicating. But, you know, it can be utilized as a tool to help with stuff like this.
Absolutely.
And help you have conversations, especially when you're dealing with conflict, when you don't feel comfortable with it. That's just something else I want to add to it.
Using it responsibly, right? And respectfully. So I'm totally on board. Like if I had a kid who was like dad or whatever, like I need to text you my thoughts because I'm having a hard time like articulating them. Mm-hmm. I would like do it.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I think when I was in RA for 1 year, I was a terrible RA. One of the suggestions I gave a couple of roommates that were having issues with each other was the sticky note system. Like if there was something bothering them, to write it out on a sticky note and leave it for the other person that they could read when they would get back. Because a lot of their issue was conflicting schedules and they didn't have time, quote unquote, to sit down and discuss things. I really just think they were both uncomfortable with it. I don't really know how that played out, but I mean, it's just another
form. After you gave a suggestion, did they come back to you with issues?
They had different issues after that with me personally.
But not the same.
No, I don't know. I don't know. They had issues with me, one of them. But like I said, I was a terrible RA. But like that was one of my suggestions, and I think one of the girls gave it a try. But I don't know how that turned out. But yeah, finding tools that can help you relay your feelings once you've identified your feelings, I think people should be more open to.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. So, guys, tell us your thoughts. We want to know your thoughts. Leave comments. I will get back to you if you're watching it on YouTube. I'll definitely get back to you. If you want to go write us on the Lamont and Leah page, the LNL Productions page, I will answer you there or in a message or whatever. We do communicate. We're not unattainable. We are real people that will communicate. So leave your thoughts, your questions about today's episode. Any other episodes you guys would like to see from us? We're open to that too.
Yes.
And am I missing anything?
No, I think that's it. Thank you everyone for watching and listening.
See you guys next week. Today's life lesson is dealing with inner conflict. As humans, we deal with so much conflict. Conflict is uncomfortable, and it's not a bad thing. Did you hear that? And conflict is not a bad thing. Some of the worst conflicts we will ever have to deal with are the conflicts from within. To resolve your internal conflict, you must honor the conversations with yourself. Your self-knowledge is trying to... Sorry. Let me take that again. To resolve your inner conflict, you must honor the conversations your self-knowledge is trying to have with you. Treat your brain, your heart, and your mind like you would treat someone else who you deeply love. Would you say, you're not good enough? You suck? You can't? To someone you deeply, truly love? Listen intently and feel your way through what you may be trying to silence. This is today's life lesson.